So, today we're going to dig into the 2026 platform from a Vancouver political party called Team. They've laid out a pretty specific vision for the city's future, and it tackles some of the biggest issues out there: planning, affordability, and how City Hall is run. Let's break down their plan based directly on their policy documents.
All right, let's start with a really big question, because honestly, it's something every major city is wrestling with right now. I mean, do you build up everywhere? Do you try to concentrate all the new growth in just a few areas? And how on earth do you balance that urgent need for new housing with the character, the feel, and the infrastructure of the communities that are already there?
And that's where we're focusing today. We're going to look at one particular set of answers to those big questions, coming from the political party Team. Their platform offers a very distinct vision for how Vancouver should grow, and you'll see that it all kicks off with their core philosophy on planning.
Right, so at the very heart of their platform is this one single idea, a fundamental shift in how city planning actually gets done. And this isn't just one policy out of many. For them, it's the foundation that everything else they're proposing is built on.
So, what exactly is this big idea? Well, they call it neighborhood-based planning. And the name kind of says it all, right? Essentially, they want to stop applying these one-size-fits-all policies across the entire city. The whole goal is to tailor any new development to the unique character, the history, and the infrastructure that's already in place in each individual community.
And here's how they frame the whole debate. They really paint a picture of two opposing models. They see the current system as top-down, where City Hall just imposes its decisions on communities. Their alternative, it's neighborhood-based and collaborative. It's a move away from what they call a growth-at-all-costs mindset to one they believe is just more responsible and respectful of local character.
And look, this isn't just some abstract idea. It has massive, real-world consequences. Their platform actually calls for hitting the pause button on two huge city-shaping initiatives, the Broadway Plan and the Vancouver Plan. They're arguing that these major projects need to be stopped until this new neighborhood-based approach is in place and the true impacts on affordability and infrastructure can be properly understood.
They also take aim at another piece of the puzzle, the money behind all this development. They're dead set against what they call pay-to-rezone practices. The argument here is that when developers can essentially pay for permission to build bigger, it just encourages land speculation, which drives up property values for everybody and makes people lose trust in the entire system.
All right, so let's move on to the next major pillar of their platform, because you'll see how this planning philosophy connects directly to their approach on affordability and what they call livability for the people who actually live here.
Okay, so a huge piece of their affordability puzzle isn't just about building new stuff, it's about protecting what we already have. They focus heavily on a word you've probably heard before, demovictions. As their platform explains it, these are evictions that happen simply because a building is being demolished for redevelopment. They see this as a huge driver of displacement, pushing long-term residents right out of their communities.
So how do they plan to tackle this? Well, their plan lays out a few really specific actions. They want to protect the city's existing rental stock. We're talking especially about those older, more affordable buildings. They also want to strengthen the legal protections for tenants. And crucially, they're proposing a one-for-one replacement rule. If you tear down a rental unit, you have to build a new one. And you have to give the original tenants the right to come back.
And this really gets at a much broader point in their platform. For Team, true affordability isn't just about the supply of housing. They argue it's a two-sided equation that also demands some serious fiscal discipline at City Hall. Things like keeping property tax hikes and municipal fees in check, because all of that adds to the overall cost of living. Now that focus on being careful with money, it flows right into their third big pillar, a call for some fundamental changes in governance and how City Hall operates, all with the goal of rebuilding public trust. You can pretty much sum up their whole philosophy on governance with this one slogan you see everywhere in their documents: show the work, earn the trust. The idea underneath it is pretty simple. They believe public confidence is low, and the only way you're going to rebuild it is through concrete, transparent actions.
Okay, so what does showing the work actually look like in the real world? Their platform gets super specific. It means publishing city reports and data way earlier, so the public actually has time to review them. It means cutting way back on the number of closed-door or in-camera meetings. And it means bringing back something they see as absolutely critical: detailed line-by-line budgets.
Let's just double-click on that last point for a second, because it's a really big deal for them. When they say line-by-line budgets, they're talking about a financial plan that itemizes every single expense. They contrast this with the kind of high-level summaries we sometimes get, arguing that this level of detail is the only way to get real fiscal accountability. All right, so we've talked about planning, affordability, and governance. When you step back and put all three of those pieces together,
What's the big picture they're trying to paint for the city's future?
So when you boil it all down, what team is really proposing is a complete fundamental shift. They want to move away from what they describe as a top-down, growth-obsessed city hall. And their alternative is a bottom-up, neighborhood-focused model, all built on a foundation of fiscal discipline and total transparency. That is the core transformation at the very heart of their platform.
And that really leaves us with the central question their platform puts on the table. And honestly, it's not just for Vancouver, it's for any city that's growing like crazy. Is this bottom-up, neighborhood-centric approach the key to balancing growth with livability? It's a fundamental debate about how our city should evolve, and Team has very clearly staked out his position.